AstraBake is a tool that can be used to export MetaHuman animation to DCCs like Blender. It achieves this by baking RigLogic-based animation to bone-only animation, which allows basic animation playback where the RigLogic pipeline may not be available. To enable AstraBake, we go to Edit, Plugins, and search for AstraBake. Ensure the plugin is enabled by checking the checkbox. You may need to restart the editor. With the editor restarted, go to the Tools menu and search AstraBake. Click on the menu entry to launch the UI. Here is the UI. There is a preview window, a details panel, and a preview settings window. First, we need to select a skeletal mesh. In this case, I will choose my MetaHumans head mesh. Next, we need to choose an animation sequence asset. Here are the animation controls. You can play or pause and scrub through the timeline of your animation. The next parameter in the Details panel is Post-Process Override. This parameter is optional and is provided to advanced developers for convenience. It could be used to implement custom layered bone-based blending or scaling, etc. The next parameter is Asset Directory. This parameter is where you set the directory that the generated baked asset will be created in. The next parameter is Append Suffix. This is the suffix that will be appended to your baked animation sequence asset name. To bake our animation sequence, we simply press the Bake button. The baking process creates an animation sequence containing only bone tracks. Once complete, if we go to the asset directory, we find our new baked animation sequence. We also have a Meshes folder. In this folder, we have created a duplicate of your skeletal mesh without a post-process or RigLogic attached. Only AstraBake animation sequences will work with this mesh. Returning to the UI, it is now time to export our baked animation to an FBX file. Simply press the Export FBX button. You will be presented with the system dialog to choose an output directory to export to. Choose your FBX file name and click Save. You will be presented with UnrealEngine's FBX Export Options dialog. Click Reset Default button if required. For most usage cases, disabling level of detail will be required. This will ensure we are only working with a single LOD. Next, ensure Export Preview Mesh is checked. This is enabled so that your skeletal mesh is exported with the animation. Optionally, you can also export basic materials and textures with your mesh. This works for materials such as skin, but not with more complex materials such as eyes or occlusion. To do this, set Bake Material Inputs to Simple, and under Default Material Bake Size, choose your required texture resolution. Once complete, click the Export button. During the export process, the editor may freeze. This is completely normal. The speed of this process is determined by the length and complexity of your animation and the machine you are running the editor on. We now need to move over to Blender. In Blender, I have an empty scene. To import the mesh and animation, we go to File, Import, FBX. This launches the FBX import dialog. Choose your FBX file, ensuring that animation is checked. With our mesh and animation imported, I am going to hide the skeleton in the viewport. To preview the animation, simply press play to launch the anim player. You may need to adjust the start and end frames to obtain the length of playback that you require. You can adjust viewport shading to view materials and textures if you have imported them. Recreating materials for eyes or eyelashes can be complicated and is beyond the scope of this tutorial. I hope this tutorial was helpful and that the tool supports your pipeline, creative work, and artistic endeavors.